Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, for returning my soul to my body and my body to my soul so that I could carry out your divine will and record myself doing it, too. It's like my favorite thing to do. So, why did I have to come out and do this right now? Well, I had to get the fuck out of the house. I spent the entire day in bed yesterday. I mean, technically it was Sabbath yesterday, so I'm not beating myself up over it. But I also didn't eat for, I think, over the span of 48 hours. I had 7 almonds. And a 1-inch by 1/2-inch chunk of goat cheese. Why would you do that? Why don't you get something to eat? Well, I'm in dire straits. That's why. Thank you, Hashem. What's so funny? Well, it's a long story. I love long stories. I know. I got so many of them. Because I don't tell them. Because they take a long time. And something I noticed, I think, unless that was a dream. I don't fucking remember now. Well, you know what it is? It's like, what's the point of talking to anybody when they're not paying attention anyway? You know? If there was another person in front of me and I tried having this conversation with them, it wouldn't last this long. Because what would eventually happen is I'd say something, and then they gotta say something. They just gotta. At that point, I'll forget what I'm saying, or the conversation strays off somewhere else, and no, the only way for me to get like a good, solid conversation is to not talk to anyone. Just talk, not at anyone, just talk, or talk to Hashem. Hello, Hashem. How's your day going? It's amazing. Thank you. Every day in service to you is the best day ever. That's not sarcasm. It's not sarcasm. I love God. It's almost like a Stockholm relationship. It's borderline Stockholm syndrome. You are the king of the Jews. Yeah, so the weird thing is, the funny thing, well, the ironic, I think it's all the above. It's not weird, or none of this is weird. And I can say that because having been witness to being the witness to my life, I can actually look pretty clearly at the past 44 years ago. Yeah, no, this is literally exactly how I would imagine it to have turned out. I was watching an episode of The Chosen last night. It's a Jesus show, which, of course it is. And one of the disciples said to one of the other disciples, like, hey, if somebody told you when you were a little kid that you'd be following the Messiah around, what would you think? And I took the question seriously enough that I started to think about it and go, you know what? I wouldn't believe it. The reason I wouldn't believe it is because God told me that when I grew up I was going to be the Messiah. Maybe not in those exact words, but He told me I was going to be the Antichrist. Same thing. Why drive? Why drive? Why have a job? Why have money? Why do any of the things? Not food. God. My legs are so fucking weak. My legs are weak. My brain is weak. Well, it's a first quarter moon today, so I gotta do a review of the last week. Prepare for next week. Hairdressers. I used to be married to my hairdresser. Oh, that's right. That's why I ended up coming out here. Is your ex-wife? Yeah. Well, it's a long story. It's a long story. They're everywhere. Now I was having a dream last night, and I don't know if we were remarried, but we were definitely sleeping in the same bed, which is a change from the way my dreams with her usually go. This was the first time we actually got along. And I was about to write a book. I'd come up with this really awesome book idea that was so terrible, which is why it was awesome. Because I think it was about shit. It was about shit. Maybe literally about shit. And one man's journey. Yeah, that's right. It was an inspiration. Right. It was inspired by a dream that I had in the dream about a guy. What the fuck was his name? He had a silly name. And it was about all the things he learned about shit from his family. And I remember explaining it to my wife, to my ex. Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I'm like, if we were sleeping in the same bed, is she still my ex? Because I knew, like, the history still didn't change. It was just, now we were living together again. And I was explaining to her how this book has nothing to do with anything that I've done over the past years. Has nothing to do with Jews. Has nothing to do with God. But you know what? This is the type of shit that gets people off. This is the type of shit that people get entertained by. So I wrote a book about shit. Well, I was about to. I wrote the title out. I title everything before I write. You write? Oh my God, I write so much. I used to call them journals, but they're not journals anymore. I have over 170 books that I've written about me. It's a 170 part series of what happens when you listen to the voice in your head. Not just that, but what happens when you pretend that the voice in your head is God? And see what happens. Fuck it. What's gonna happen? That's the only explanation that seems to make sense at this point. And you know what? I can tell you what happens. If you believe in something hard enough, it actually comes true. And then you find out, well, it's not that it comes true. You just find out that it never wasn't true to begin with, which is really fucked up. Which can bring up a lot of like weird questions, brings up a lot of weird shit, brings up a lot of stuff. Because then you start going, well, why didn't I just do this in the first place? I mean, technically I did. I used to imagine that that's what it was. But then I would look around at my life and go, nah, that's too good to be true. That's not possible. Because if I really was hearing God talk to me, then why does my life look like this? What do I do? What do you do? I don't know. What the fuck do you do? I don't know. I just kind of run with it. You know in Fight Club when Tyler Durden's talking to the narrator and he's like, yeah, it's like people have conversations like this with themselves all the time. It's just that you run with it. That's basically it. And once I started to realize that once I started to refer to it as God, then that's when I started to see positive return on investment. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this for 2 hours. Hashem, like seriously, my legs are, I feel bad. I don't feel good. What do you feel bad about? Well, considering I haven't had a meal in 24 hours, yesterday all I had was 2 cups of coffee. And then the day before I only had the 7 almonds and the small piece of cheese, goat cheese, that I may have done some permanent damage. Well, that's what the voice in my head was telling me yesterday. You're gonna do permanent damage if you keep this up. And the reason I was doing it is because my pride and arrogance was getting the better of me, and I refused to eat anything that was in the house that I didn't pay for. Because I don't have any money. Well, I have 54 cents. I've had 54 cents for 44 days. 45 days. 45 straight days. I've been surviving off of 54 cents. And surviving on, it's just live with my mom's. Nobody bothers me. Nobody asks me questions. Nobody tells me anything. I mean, it's not bad considering what I do. So it's actually really helpful. I know. And you would think like, oh, that's really cool. Your family's like being so cool with you, and they don't bust your balls. They just let you do your thing. Yeah. But that's the thing is, they don't know what I do. So it's complicated. What do you mean? What do you do? Oh, I'm a rabbi. I've been studying to be a rabbi for the past 6 years. And finally last year, it dawned on me, like, holy shit, I did it. I've accomplished my goal. I've done it. And over this past year, well, let me take that back. Because it wasn't exactly like that. Over the course of this last year, because this all started a year ago, but over the course of the last year, it has, and mostly over this last week, it has dawned on me, holy shit, I did it. I fucking pulled it off. I told my ex-wife once, a long time ago, I'm going to be the first non-Jewish rabbi. Now, which doesn't sound too crazy, until we get to last year when I found out I actually am Jewish. Which, it wasn't last year as much as it's something that's been building slowly over the past 44 years, where it's over this last year, I've been able to conclude, based on everything I've experienced over the last 44 years, holy shit, I'm a Jew. Yep, that explains everything. I have and not just any kind of regular Jew either. I study Hasidic Judaism, and it's my favorite thing. I love it. Again, it explains so much for me. It explains so much for me because everything that I learned from the Hasidics explains my experiences over the last 44 years, which is great. It's great. The whole thing is fucking great. But and for the most part, the money's been amazing. It's always just enough for me to survive with. It's never too much. It's always just enough. And then it runs out. And then I go without money for, was it last year? Oh man. Last year I went without money for, technically it was 10 weeks. But 3 of those weeks, there was money in my bank account. It went from $8 to $5 to under $1. And then once it got to under $1, it was about 27 cents. Once it hit 27 cents, that's when the real timer kicked in. And it was 49 days. Now, there was a bunch of peripheral things going on in my life at the same time, so there was a reason why I did it. There was a reason why I was allowing that to happen and I didn't go get a job, because I had been in a legal battle with my former employer over a dispute over a couple $1,000s. Right? Was it like 2,000? I think, something like that. Did you win? Yeah. Yes, matter of fact. I didn't get back as much as I wanted, but I also didn't use a lawyer. I wanted to see how far I can go just relying on God. I was reading a book last year. Fantastic book. I highly recommend it. It's Jewish Wisdom for Business Success. Oh, don't you own a business as well? I do, as a matter of fact. I do. I'm still figuring out how and what I can do with that. But yeah. I actually have another month before. Right, I got to the end of next month until my annual fees are due. So I need $75 in order to do that. But something I learned, but what the book was teaching was how to find practical business and life advice through the stories of Torah. And it's not a concept that I was familiar with. I like the idea of it. Let me take that back. I'm familiar with that concept, but not with the Bible. I never thought to do it with the Bible. Of all the books I've read, I read a lot of books. Read and listen to a lot of books. And I do that exact same thing. But I never thought, why don't I try this on the Bible? Tie my shoe. This guy a fucking retard? A little bit. I'm learning to slow down. Oh, it's got dizzy. He should probably eat. Yep, I think so too. And when we're done with this, I hope that I'll have a chance to. I trust that the Lord will provide me with everything I need today so I don't die. Or so I don't go to bed hungry again. How about that? But don't you live with your family? Yeah, but that's a complicated situation. Like I said, they don't know what I'm doing. They don't understand what I'm doing. So, and from their perspective, I just sit around all day. I sit around and do nothing all day. Now, they might deny that and say, like, oh, no. We know he's busy working. He's doing all the things. They don't really believe that. They think that I'm using God as an excuse so that I don't have to work, so that I can just sit around and do nothing all day. Which, for all intents and purposes, I spend most of my time in my room by myself and I don't talk to anybody, and I keep my headphones on because I listen to music all day because I don't want to be bombarded or bothered with anyone else's bullshit. You know what I mean? I've been here for 5.5 years and I'm fucking tired of it, to be perfectly honest. 5.5? Holy shit, it's really been that long. 5.5 years. And I'm fucking tired of it. Like, I'm actually tired of it. And so yesterday I had a fight with God, and I told him, no more. I'm tired of this place. Like, I feel the oppression. They don't like that I eat their food, which is understandable. The philosophy is, if you want to eat, you got to pay for it. So they don't buy me food. They don't make food for me. I just have to eat scraps. I eat scraps and I eat leftovers. And technically I'm not allowed to eat all the leftovers because certain leftovers aren't mine to touch. Because someone might eat them, you know? So, I mean, from my perspective, and I'm trying to get out of this mentality, but to me, it's like incredibly abusive. It's like, it's borderline, like, what the fuck? What kind of fucked up shit's going on there? Like, it's really fucked up. But then again, this is why I wanted to get away from my mother ever since I was a kid, so I can get away from this type of shit. Because my mother's just not that type of person that really gives a fuck about anyone besides herself. So, I don't like her. I'm doing my best. I do my best. And I have to be grateful for the fact that I live here. I don't pay rent. I refuse to pay rent. And the only reason I refuse to pay rent is because I don't have any money. And even if I have money, I don't like to pay them. Because they don't need my money. And the reason I say that is because they only work like 2-3 days a week. Between the two of them, her and her husband, like they only work a couple days a week, so it's not like they're like in dire straits. You know what I mean? They do that by choice. So I don't. When I used to give them money for rent, I used to see that they would go out to eat a lot. I mean, they don't not go out and enjoy themselves as much as they did. But it makes me think, I can put this money to better use because I'm actually, like, my plan isn't to live here forever. You know, since day one of being in this house, the plan has been to get the fuck out of this house. 5.5 years later, what are you doing wrong? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. That's what God's showing me. I'm doing everything right. It's just, I have to be patient. And I have to go through the shit to get out of the shit. You know what I mean? You can't get out of a dark tunnel without going through it first. And this is probably the darkest of tunnels that I can imagine. Aside from living on the street, getting raped, and having to eat out of garbage cans, that's probably as bad as I can imagine it to get. But at the same time, there's a part of me that's going, mind you, I spent a couple days wandering around the streets of Skid Row in LA. And that's a pretty fucked up place. That's a really fucked up place. It took me 5 days to get over the fucking the PTSD that I contracted from walking around there for so long. And mind you, it was only 2 days. 2 very long days. 2 very, very long days. Thank you, Lord. I was part of a soul quest that I was on. Now again, my family, they think it was me hitting rock bottom, doing some fucked up shit, but in actuality, it was actually God guiding me to go to a place that the idea of it terrified the shit out of me, that I had to go face my fears. And I was gonna go there and last as long as I did, but things worked out in my favor where I finally had enough. The opportunity to come home revealed itself to me. And it's funny, I was just talking to my mother about this. She's talking about how I called her and begged her to come home. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. What actually happened was my phone died after my sister said I couldn't stay with her. When I got back to the bus station, the Greyhound, I plugged it in and I saw a text from my mother saying, "You ready to come home yet?" Yep. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. 100% I am. Do you want a plane ticket? Nope. Why? It'll be too fast. I'd rather take the bus. Why? Because it's going to take a longer time. Plane will get me home in fucking 6 hours. No. No, I need a train. I need a bus, because the bus would take 2 days. As the Lord would have it. I was gonna say, not luck. There is no such thing as luck, but as God would have it, it actually took 5 days. It was a 5-day trip to get home, and it was awesome. It was so cool. The whole trip was awesome. The trip there, the trip back, the events that led up to the trip. As a matter of fact, what day is it? It's the 13th. It's the 13th. This is the day. No. The 14th is the day. The 14th of July is the day that I landed in LA. Not landed, but that's when the bus got there. I took a bus out of Atlantic City. I even bought a ticket for a homeless man a non-refundable ticket. He backed out as soon as the bus pulled out of the bus station. Yeah, this is like a $300 ticket. It's all right. It's a thought that counts. The fact that I did it. Money. What is money? Money is not a means to an end. So the nice thing about being a rabbi is I don't work for money, I work for God. So where's your money come from? That's a really great question that I've been waiting for God to reveal to me. And part of the reason why I went on my hunger strike yesterday. Don't they go food shopping? Oh, they go food shopping, but just enough for that night or for the day. Everything's very strategic in the house. I've been watching the trends for months. Now, normally things don't get like this for me. The last time it got like this was last year. But again, I was also going through a legal battle with Hugo Boss, which I almost would not be allowed. I could almost get sued. They tried to make it so that if I ever said that I got into a legal battle with Hugo Boss over them not paying me, give me a hard time to pay me, that they would be able to sue me. But I told them to cram the paperwork up their ass, essentially. They were trying to get out of responsibility. So they presented a 16-point release form that they wanted me to sign in exchange for the money. I told their lawyer, if you don't owe me, then don't pay me. Simple as that. But I'm not signing this thing. I've already broken half of the fucking... I've already, broken half the rules. It was to the point, I'm reading this thing. I didn't need to bring it to a fucking lawyer. I read it twice. I read it once to get an idea of what it meant, and then I read it a second time just to confirm that I saw exactly what I thought I saw. And the second time through, I'm writing a point-by-point response to the lawyer, telling him, I already broke this, I've done that, I did this, I did that. So you want me to sign a thing in exchange for this money that the last person I was talking to, they told me that they were going to pay me. Why now are we going through this shit? If you don't owe me, don't pay me. And if you do, I want it by the end of the week. This is saying 2 weeks. No. I've already waited 4 months. And I haven't had money in fucking 7 weeks. And they paid? Fuck yeah, they paid. But again, they didn't pay all of it. But that was why, when I was going through the money famine last year, there was a light at the end of the tunnel, you know? Now, I don't know what the fuck. I'm not waiting on money. Nobody owes me money as far as I know. I mean, I had a $20,000 inheritance from my grandmother who died, but I don't know what the fuck happened to that. I don't know if she changed the beneficiary on that. I don't know who the fuck to even check with. Well, I know who to check with, but the lady, she hasn't returned my messages. I'll put it like that. I mean, the secondary beneficiary was my son, but that was only in case I died. So, I mean, unless... That might not be the worst idea. What? Well, I was just thinking about how I should potentially reach out to my ex-wife and ask her if she knows anything. Should he ever say anything to you about that? The insurance? Libby's insurance? That was fucking $20,000. I've been waiting for that since I was a kid. I've been waiting for that since I was a child. It was the only inheritance that I had to look forward to. Because my family's poor. My family doesn't have shit. My father had $2,000 cash when he died. That $2,000 was money that was a down payment for a job that he never finished. And it ended up being just enough to cover his the money for his cremation. And my grandmother was very strict with me. Do not share a dime of this money with your sister. Okay, no problem. But I don't know. I don't know if she changed the name. So it's possible I have a $20,000 inheritance that I'm waiting for. Hashem, what can you tell me about that? Don't get your hopes up. All right. When did your grandmother die? March 20. Or maybe March 20 of 2023. No one's even, aside from the fact that my sister told me, I've never actually seen anything official that she died. My sister sent me a picture that my sister sent me a picture that my grandmother's niece posted on social media of the shell of my grandmother's body in a nursing home. It was the most horrendous thing I'd ever seen in my life. And knowing my grandmother, she was... that wasn't her style. Oh my God, she was so angry. But I don't know if she ever changed the names on the paperwork. I was just reading a YouTube reader yesterday. A YouTube tarot reader I was watching. And she made like a really good point that like I hadn't thought about in a while. She's like, you need to check your mail. You haven't checked your mail in a long time. I don't know who this message is for. Well, apparently that message is for me because I haven't checked my mail in 6 years since I left my house. I used to live in Toms River. Now I live in Northfield. I never actually officially moved. I just stay here. I've just been staying here for the past 6 years. I think technically it's like, at this point it is, I live here. But I never changed my mailing address. So I don't know where all my mail has been going for the past 6 years. Now this reader was saying some shit like, you need to check your mail, and you probably need a lawyer because someone stole your inheritance. Like this is the shit I'm seeing on this video. I'm like, what? Come on. I don't feel like doing all this shit. Because I know all this stuff. And I don't like lawyers. I like being my own lawyer. But I also look at it like this, and God backs me up on this. Listen, if anyone did any kind of fuck shit, they're gonna get busted. So you don't have to do all that nonsense. There's Jesus in the New Testament. God, this is fucking walking. Jesus in the New Testament. Was it Jesus? Yeah. Somebody asked him to arbitrate a case for him. And he said no. If you bring this before the judge, I don't know, it was tired talking. No, but the idea was that it's pointless to bring it to a court. Don't even bother. God is the one who hands out justice. And I agree 100%. I never went to my divorce hearings. I didn't even know I was divorced. Like, and that's another thing. I didn't even know that I was divorced until the day that I was divorced. Yeah, obviously. No, not obviously. Not obviously. Actually, I had talked to my mother-in-law about a week prior. I talked to my grandmother a week prior. Oh no, I talked to my ex-mother-in-law at this point. A week prior, on the 1st of April, 2019. And I talked to her on the phone, so we heard each other's voices. And I asked her, I'm like, what is going on? I haven't actually talked to I haven't talked to April in a fucking long time. Like, are we married? Are we not married? Like, did we get divorced and I just don't know about it? Like, what's going on with all that? And her response to me was, I ain't saying nothing. Which has a Staten Island accent. I ain't saying nothing. Alright? And mind you, I don't know if my voice was this calm at the time or not, or how she remembers it, but this is how I remember it. And I know I was feeling tension because I hadn't talked to her in months. So this was like, it took a lot for me to even call. Well, I had actually just rang the doorbell before, but I said, I ain't saying nothing. I ain't saying nothing. Alright? If you want to see your son again, you better talk to a lawyer. What? That's the part, that's when I was like, what the fuck? Could you say that one more time for me? I ain't saying nothing. The divorce papers, they were sent to your mother's. And when she said that all the paperwork is being sent to my mother's. there was like a slight hesitation in her voice. You'd have to be like a fucking hummingbird to pick it up, because it was just so subtle that as soon as I noticed it, I went, she's either lying, she's lying on purpose, or she's not actually sure. Because you can sense that slight little bit of doubt. It was very minuscule. I was actually really impressed by myself that I was able to pick that up. And then a week later, I found out, it had come to my attention that my grandmother had fallen and broken her hip. I was in the hospital because when she fell, she landed on the floor next to her bed, and that's where she was for 2 days. 2 days on the ground. I fall and I can't get up, like literally one of those situations. Which was something that my father was always afraid of. Because she had a habit of falling and not telling anybody. So, who found her? That's a really good question. I don't know. The story she told me in the hospital doesn't add up. She was saying that while she was on the ground, there were people coming in and out of the house and painting her room, and at some point some people helped her get up and they were cutting her hair, and there was a birthday party going on, and then some police came. So, yeah, it's a lot of like, I don't know what the fuck. Like, I know I stayed at her house for a couple days because she told me to live there. She said, you know, while I'm in the hospital, just live there. Live there like it's yours. Okay, no fucking problem. We have a shared bank account, so if I need money, I can at least stock up on food, what little food I need. And I can at least prepare the house for when she's better and she can come home, because she's gonna need me at this point. But her niece took ownership of her bank card, which I didn't like. And on the advisement of my dead father, I canceled all of her cards that her niece had, and I got new ones issued. But then it turned into a really big thing, because then her niece got all fucking crazy about it, because her niece loved having the money. She loved having the money. But my job was actually to go there and make sure that the niece didn't squander the money. Which it was squandered. I mean, my grandmother was put into a fucking nursing home where she did not want to go. Which it's probably better that way, because I would have killed her if she asked me to. And then I would have gotten in trouble for it, and I ain't got time for that shit. That's why I think God took me out of that house. Out of that place, because the first time I lived with her, I thought I was going there to kill her. I thought she was going to ask me to put her down, because ever since my father died, she always like wanted to die. She always used to talk about dying and how she wanted to die. I eventually told her once, like, if you want to die so bad, stop taking these fucking pills that you keep taking that are keeping you alive. That'll kill you. I can finally get my fucking $20,000. You don't miss your grandmother? Of course. Well, no. Why? She became a burden. She was fucking 101 years old when she died. Or 102. Trust me, she was good. She lived long enough. You would have killed her? Well, if she asked me to. And not kill, like euthanasia. They put a fucking pillow over her head. Made the most sense. But at the same time, like, an insurance case like that, that wouldn't have went over well. And plus, I was the type of person where I probably would have not Well, I don't think I would have a choice. No, I would try to figure out a way to scheme it so that I would continue collecting her retirement or pension. So chances are, like, I probably would have got myself into a deep ton of shit. But that's why I'm glad things went exactly the way that they did. I'm glad that she's dead, which is the best. Because like I said, not only is she just a burden on me, a burden on other people, but now I don't have to worry about her. I was having a conversation with her last night, letting her know everything that's been going on. See, my father and my grandmother, they were... They wouldn't be allowing this to happen. Like, my life is as fucked up as it is because they're dead. I mean, and it's only fucked up from one perspective. Like, from another perspective, my life is fucking awesome. It's amazing. It couldn't be any better. That's the really weird part about it. Because people, one, some people don't believe I'm Jewish. Like I was saying, like there are people in my family, like my mother and her husband included. They think I'm just using this God thing as an excuse to not work. And they're not wrong, but it's not an excuse. God's telling me don't work. It's a sin to work. I don't know what you know and what you don't know about being a Jew, but being a Jew, like it's kind of a sin to work for somebody. The idea is to start a business, to be sovereign, to be independent. That's what Judaism is all about, ultimately. It's about being your own sovereign, like God. You can't be God, but be like God. Be your own human, which just happens to line up with the way with my own personal principles. Oh my God, this walk, I don't feel like taking this goddamn walk. I'm walking even fucking further now. I need a seat. But the bench is probably about another 20 minutes away. Fuck me. But I've kind of committed to this. I'm one of those prideful type of motherfuckers that, like, once I commit myself to something, like, I can't just walk away from it. Like right now, like what I'm doing, part of what I'm doing is stalling. Because my mother's husband, it's 1:44. So we've got at least another hour and 15 minutes. So this is perfect. We'll be done with this by 3 o'clock, which is right around the time that my mother's husband should be going to work. I know he's going to work because he's still in bed. He was in bed when I left. Giving away all the family secrets. Yeah, fuck it. I don't give a fuck. It's not like I'm talking to anybody. I'm just talking to myself. I'm thinking out loud. You are free, unlike them. That's why everybody fucking hates me. Well, see, that's one of the nice things about owning a legal entity, a legal business entity, is because I can do any job I want to do. I can define my role in the company however is fit. And being a Jew, like, there's added perks to it as well, in the sense that God is my business partner, which means my business can never fail. As a matter of fact, we're about to hit 4 years this year. Established in 2020, so I'm already well past the fucking the 2 year. Most small businesses fail within the first 2 years. Yeah, sorry, not us. Passed that threshold 2 years ago. Go me. And you know what the secret to the success is? I'll tell you. Why do most small businesses fail in the first 2 years? Because they rely solely on money. We don't. Money is a secondary. The idea is do what you love, like it is your job, and eventually it will become your job. Because money is a consequence of doing what you love. Now, a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll wait till they're making money before they form an LLC. Why? Because they're looking for tax breaks. They want to do the tax thing. Now, I understand that. There's perks, a lot of perks, but that's not what we're doing. See, the legal entity also grants there's intellectual perks to it as well. Are you familiar with the concept of mindset? You gotta have a success mindset, a business mindset. You gotta have a winner's mindset, like that type of shit, right? So it was revealed to me in 2020. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want to take this seriously, right? You want to be a business owner, right? You want to own a successful business that's the most successful business of all the businesses ever formed. All right, no problem. You have to start it, right? So people have this tendency, right? I'm sure I'm not the only one. We have these ideas, and then we'll have these great ideas, and then we'll put the idea off to the side, and it just doesn't go anywhere. What God said to me in 2020, on August 14th, 2020, as a matter of fact, I have it written down. Buy it, then worry about what you're going to do with it later. Meaning, form the LLC. Once you have it formed, once you actually have the business, right? Then you don't have a choice, but to think about it. And that's me. I don't know about anybody else because I don't work a regular job, and at the time I didn't have a job. I was collecting COVID money. I had a job for 2 months in the first February and March of 2020, which was right before COVID hit. I got the job. I think I started the job in like the middle of February. I started the job in the middle of February. Holy shit, it's hot. And then, what, a month? Yeah, it wasn't even 2 months. Well, yeah, it was. Because it was the middle of March. Yeah, about a month and a half. About a month and a half, 2 months, I was at this job. It was just I was a stock boy at a cosmetology joint, Cosmoprof. Then COVID hit, and everything got shut down. And then I started making all this money from the state because I was allowed to collect unemployment, which was something I wasn't allowed to do prior. Because I had a 12-year career that I walked away from in 2018. I used to work in the graphic industry for 12 years. And by the time I quit, like I had to quit because of just everything that was going on in my life. Between my marriage, between my own personal journey. I had a lot of mental and emotional shit that I was dealing with. So I attempted to explain that to unemployment, but they weren't having that. So I couldn't collect. maybe like 8 months later, I reapplied for the unemployment. And I tried to get my ex-wife to help me out with it because like she can back up some of my story, but never did. Yeah, it is what it is. Which I'm glad. I mean, like, it wasn't supposed to work out. The idea is, right? They say that fortune favors the bold, right? Is that how you go? Glory favors the bold, fortune favors the bold, whatever the fuck it is. There's no risk, there's no reward if you don't take the risk. Exactly. The reward is taking the risk. That's the point. It's not about succeeding. The success, well, I mean, it is and it isn't. It's not always about succeeding the way that you want to succeed. Success, realistically, is defined by the fact that you even made the attempt to do the thing at all. All right, there's 2 benches. There's the other bench over here. Fuck it, we're going to that one. I'm dragging ass on this. But I knew this was going to happen. You don't fucking go 48 hours without eating. What'd you have today? A bowl of chicken salad. Mediocre chicken salad, by the way. It ain't nothing to write home about. That's what I do. I settle for mediocre food. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, because it's so delicious. I mean, it's good. It's not the worst. It's just, I'm tired. I'm tired of fucking relying on other people. And not that I do. I rely on God. All good deeds are because of Him. So it's not that I'm relying on my mother or, yeah, no, it's only my mother because nobody does anything. That's a fact. My mother's husband bought me a pack of cigarettes once because he was ordered to. And then I took those cigarettes, I was so disgusted. I took the cigarettes and I returned them. I exchanged them for the cigarettes he smokes. Because I won't take charity from people who need charity more than I do. You sound like an asshole. Yeah. I can see how some people would think that. Ah, fuck. Well, that's the point I'm getting at, is that there's food in the house. I just feel uncomfortable eating it, you know? And that I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate the fact that I have to live in a place where I feel uncomfortable eating. I feel uncomfortable. I don't ask for help. I refuse to ask for help. I'm too proud for that. But God even told me, like, don't ask for help. You're too good for that. Your feelings serve you well. Fuck. We got another hour. I gotta walk all the fucking way back. You've been walking for an hour? Yeah, but that last walk, this is only like a 15-minute walk to get from the house to here. Then what the hell were you doing? I was walking the labyrinth. It's like a maze. It's good for left-right brain balancing. Holy shit. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me the strength to even fucking do this today. God damn. I told you to take it easy. Well, it is Shabbat, too. So I got that going on. I mean, so technically... Oh, dude, the music's fucking just die? Yeah. So technically I shouldn't even be doing this. But there's loopholes. There's always loopholes. You bald? Yeah. Yeah. Going there. And you just look like you got an extended forehead. I do. Fucking going on 44, dude. I'll be 44 next month. Hair's also fucking frizzy as fuck. It's also fucking like 2 inches in the front. Fucking long as shit in the back. Why don't you cut it? I've been thinking about that, but I'm not ready yet. God told me he'll tell me when. Take a shower today? Yeah. Yeah, so by the time this is done, so we got another hour. So by the time my theory is correct, then the guy, my mother's husband, he's working today. I know this because he was in bed when I left, and that was around 12:40, 12:30. I mean, he only usually works like maybe 1-2 days a week. I don't even know. I don't think he's worked in over a week at this point. No, a week and a half. And that was the last time he went to work. I don't know. I really don't know. No. They got a good life, those two. They just sit around and fucking watch TV, sit by the pool, go golf. They're doing all right. I don't have time for any of that stuff. Like I said, like everyone thinks I'm sitting around doing nothing all day, but I have to re-educate myself. I've been having to reprogram my fucking brain. The past 5 years has been me unprogramming the past 37 years. Past 5, past 6. Does that shit even matter anymore? No. So what's the point now? Now I mean, the Jew thing doesn't even fucking matter. Rabbi thing doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Everything that led up to right now doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is just what's in my journals. All this external stuff, it's pointless. It's peripheral. Like I couldn't even explain my life if I tried. It's impossible. That's why God has to do it, not me. 6 years of reflection. Okay. I don't know, do I do that here? Do I do that on this platform? I mean, that would make the most sense. I have 6 years worth of journals. 6 years worth of books. I got 170 of these motherfuckers. They're all based on the lunar calendar. So I have to do a monthly review. Well, 6-year review. 1 month, 3 months a week. 1 year per month. 6 years over the course of 6 months. Starting in the first month of Tishrei on the Hebrew calendar, which is 1, 2, 3 months away. So technically, in 3 months from right now, today's the first quarter moon. Today's the 7th day of the 4th month of Tammuz. So in 3 months, we'll be in the 10 days of awe. We'll be on the 7th day of the 10 days of awe, leading up to Yom Kippur. And we will have been finished with the first 3 months worth of books that I wrote. Well, technically. We might have to do 5 months. In that first week, because I'm counting it Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah as a year to see what my life looked like from the perspective of the Hebrew calendar, which is based on lunar months. I've done it once. I did it last year over the 12 days of reflection, which are the 12 days leading up to Rosh Hashanah. It's the last 12 days of the 6th month of Elul. Each day is dedicated to reflection upon one of the 12 months of the previous year. But are we talking about Gregorian months or Hebrew months? I use the Hebrew months. Because I just happen to have, like, all my journals for the past 6 years have all of the lunar cycle data, lunar phase data, lunar and solar phase data based on Western astrology. So it was easy for me to go month by month, but I was doing 1 month a day. It's a lot. But the idea of the 12 days of reflection is, over the course of those 12 days, you reflect on the last 12 months of the last year, so that over the next 10 days, the 10 days of awe, from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, you can repent and atone for all your fuck-ups over the last year, so that this coming year, we can do better. That's the point. To improve. To make this year better than last year. It's not so much New Year's resolutions as much as figuring out and observing our missteps. Now, I don't know how big the Jewish community is on journaling and then backtracking those journals for 12 months, but that's how I roll. It just happened to be also that that's a project I wanted to do. That's something I wanted to do for a long time, and it just happened to be that the Jews gave me the motivation to do it because it's part of their tradition, our tradition. Whew. Soggy wood. And when I did that, it fucking was so cool. I don't know how to explain it, but because when I was doing the review, and this is so much to this. When I was doing the review, I was only going new moon, first quarter moon, full moon, third quarter moon. Those are the journal entries that I would focus on. So I'm not reading through the whole goddamn thing. Those are the highlights. Read through the highlights and you get the idea. Then fill in the gaps with my mind because I know where everything went. I know my life. And not to mention the fact that every month every week, I do a weekly / monthly review. So today's the first quarter moon. When we're done with this, when I go home, I'm going to take out my journal from last week. I'm going to review my entry from July 5th, which was the new moon. Next week is the full moon. So then what we'll do is we'll review the first quarter moon that I'm doing today, the entry that I'm doing today, which includes the review of the entry from last week, and then I'll review the entry from last week, which contains the review of the previous 4 weeks. So on the new moon, I review, like I said, the previous, 4 weeks. The third quarter moon, the new moon, first quarter moon, and then the last new moon. So it's like, it's like a month in review. Then the first weekend, which is the first quarter moon, we do 1 week back. On the new moon, we do 2 weeks back. On the third quarter moon, we do 3 weeks back. And then on the next new moon, we'll do 4 weeks back. But I read them backwards. Because there's two stories. There's the story that you read when you go forwards, and then there's a story that you read when you go backwards. I already lived it forwards. When I go through them backwards, it fills in the gaps. Like when I read next week or last week's entry, it's going to remind me of some things like, oh shit, I forgot about that. That led to that. Because of that, this happened. Because of this, that happened. So there's a lot going on. And I do this every week on what I call lunar Sabbaths. Lunar Sabbath is the first quarter, third quarter, new moon and full moon. But then there's also the solar Sabbaths, which is the 7th day of the week. Some Jews recognized Sabbath on Shabbat, which is Saturday. I do not. For me, Shabbat, Saturday, is the first day of the week and the 8th day of the week. It's 2 days mixed into one. The 8th day of the week is the first day of the following week. There's a lot of reason into why I do that. Who are you talking to? No one. No one. Maybe you should talk to somebody. That's what I'm doing. That's what this is all about. I don't have anyone to talk to about this stuff, so I talk to the camera. I talk to my phone as if there's people watching, you know? I talk as if there's an audience because then it feels like I'm talking to someone. And sometimes, as you're probably noticing, those questions pop up in my head because I hear people in my head asking that question. Who the fuck are you talking to? Who's this guy talking to? Because if you're watching this, you're probably going, who the fuck are you talking to? Talking to the phone. Talking to God. Talking to the ghost of the machine. And nature, because we're in nature. Yeah, so we'll get home around 3. He usually leaves around 3:30, which means the house will be empty. Well, my brother's gone. What about your brother? What about my brother? Don't worry about it. It's not that kind of relationship. What do you mean? You're about to say, does your brother support you? No. Not that he can't afford it, but... Well, neither is my sister. Nobody, don't ask me for help. That's the rule. That's the golden rule. Don't ask for help. No problem. No one ever said don't ask for help, but that's the golden rule. I have asked for help in the past. And I learned my lesson. If I need help, I ask God. That's it. Sounds like you got a fucked up family. Who doesn't? Isn't family supposed to be there for each other, though? Not when it's me. They let me live there for free. What the fuck more do I want? They feed me when I can. But I also know how leftovers work. I'm going to go home, there's leftovers, and I'm going to eat them. Because one, I need to fucking eat. Nigga, I'm fucking hungry. I got 54 cents in the fucking bank. I don't know when the fuck, how the fuck, why the fuck I'm gonna get more money. But God tells me, don't worry about it. Yo ass is covered. There comes a point in the future where you have more money than you know what to fucking do with. Trust me. Okay? But how can you just trust? 6 years later, 6 years I've been at this. Trust me, that God has earned my trust. He earns it more and more every single fucking day. Because my life is impossible. And it's not even just these past 6 years, but also the 37 years that these past 6 years are predicated on. Because the more that I learned, the more that I've come to learn over these last 6 years, the more that the previous 37 years make more and more sense every fucking day. So when God tells me to trust, you better fucking believe I trust fucking God more than I trust myself. And I trust myself more than I trust anyone else. I just heard that I'm waiting for a cigarette. Someone's gonna walk by with a cigarette. I believe it when I see it. I believe it so I see it. I'm gonna walk by somebody with a cigarette, and I'm gonna ask them for a cigarette. Well, that just happened the other day. The last video that I recorded. I haven't had a pack of cigarettes. It was one of my last purchases. It was over 40 days ago. 45 days ago. Would you say the most you've done without money? 49. That's not true. That was last year. The longest I went without money is a year. From October 2018 to October 2019. There was about a month period where I remembered that I had some crypto. I had like $300 in crypto and about $2,000 in a profit share from a company that I worked for like 10 years ago. I think I was out of there by then. No, almost. I left there September of 2014. Because that was the year my aunt died on May 8th. And then my father died on May 8th, 2015. My mother's sister. My father was an only child. After my father, my grandmother loved me best. I hate my life. I hate parts of my life. I hate that I live with my mother. I hate that I don't have any money. I have 54 cents. And I know the average person, if we subtract their savings from their debt, I have a lot more money than most people. Maybe about a month ago, my brother was laughing at me because I had 54 cents. And then I reminded him, subtract your savings from your debt. Who has more money? You stop fucking laughing real quick. But like I said, God, I've been in this situation before. I've been in similar situations in this, not just without, but I've been close to being without. And he always tells me, trust me. And it always works out. So, and after this entire last year, oh yeah, I trust God. Oh, I trust God. I trust God more than I've ever trusted God before in my entire life. And thanks to the teachings of Rabbi Jesus, the renegade rabbi, and through watching The Chosen, which is an amazing show, I cry like a motherfucker while watching that. Every episode, like oh my god, it hits me so deeply. But it's good because it makes me have to look at things that I don't normally want to look at, but because I look at them, it helps heal it. You gotta feel it to heal it. So it's all good in the hood. But one of his most integral teachings is you gotta believe. You gotta believe before you can see. If you believe that you can be healed, you're healed. Pick up your mat. Walk away. Walk the fuck out of here. Stand up. That's why I'm not concerned about this whole thing with the eating and the fasting and being tired. I'm not worried about that. I'll recover from it. There's no permanent damage. It's actually making me better. Fasting, the reason I like fasting and the reason I like suffering is because it's an altered state of consciousness that allows you to tap into emotional wells that you wouldn't normally be able to tap into unless you reach that particular state of consciousness. I used to come out here all the time and fucking bash my fucking hands into the fucking trees until my hands bled. It's got scars on my knuckles. It used to hurt. I used to punch him so hard that, like, the fear, I would beg, please, I don't want to do it, I don't want to hurt, I don't want to do it, fuck. Ah. My hands would be covered in blood. But the idea of it was, I don't like to feel pain. I don't like it. It fucking pisses me off. It pisses me off, so of course, that's why it's good for you. To get angry. It was like rage work. It was a different form of rage work. I love rage work. I love and I hate rage work because intentionally putting yourself in rage is dangerous. Feels dangerous. It feels like you're never going to come out of it, but it's like it's like sex. It's literally like sex. It's amazing. It hurts. It sucks. At times, like there comes a point where it's like I don't want to do this anymore. But once you come out of that dark tunnel, then it's delicious. Because it usually ends in crying and sobbing, which leads to a tremendous breakthrough. All my best breakthroughs come after my most delicious breakdowns. And I think that's why I love that show so much, because it forces me to have a breakdown. I have a breakdown every time I watch The Chosen. Because it gets really emotional, it gets really deep. It gets emotionally deep, which is the key to healing. And the key to building a more trusting relationship with God, Hashem. Because a lot of the resistance, a lot of the pain is resistance because I can't look at a particular situation from an alternative perspective. Like I get stuck in my ways. I'm very stubborn. So it takes a lot for me to shift my perspective. And usually when I can get out of that stiff-necked viewpoint, that stiff-necked point of reference on a situation, when I can stop blaming other people or even stop blaming myself and observe that memory, observe that feeling, observe that emotion from an alternative perspective, that's when the illusion when the illusion, when the internal illusion breaks down. Balance every thought with its opposition, because the marriage of the two is the destruction of illusion. The right path and the left path, they open the way to the middle path. But you have to be able to look at both sides, which is tough. Because there's usually one side that you don't want to look at, that I don't want to look at. And the side that I don't want to look at, the reality that I don't want to face, happens to be the reality that holds the key to reality, the real reality, the middle path. Middle path of God is called. So I can't, like, this is weird for me. This is not who I am. I was never a God-fearing man. I used to hate God. I used to want to kill God. Yesterday I was writing about wanting to kill God. I told God, I'll kill myself. Because I believe that if I kill myself, I'll kill you too. I'm gonna brush my teeth. I just... What do you want? A lot of things. I want to do something. I want to do something big and tremendous. I want to change science. 6 years ago when I first got on this path, like, one of my intentions was to prove the existence of God, and be able to explain esoteric concepts, sciences like astrology, tarot, magic, alchemy. Be able to explain those things to anybody. Good luck with that. It's really not that hard. It's not that hard at all. I also study Aristotle, which I love talking about. I love that I study Aristotle. Back in the olden days, there were a sect of Jews called Hellenist Jews. Hellenist Jews were... How do you explain the Hellenist Jews? The Hellenist Jews had integrated Hellenist ideas into their Judaism. Two of the more notable Hellenist Jews are Flavius Josephus and Philo of Alexandria. And what they were doing was they were also students of the Hellenist philosophies, Hellenist logic, Hellenist philosophy. Philo was a student of Plato, Aristotle, Pythagoras. The idea was to integrate Hellenist logic with Jewish philosophy, and Hellenist philosophy with Jewish wisdom. So I study Aristotle because a lot of the Hebraic philosophies, they're out there. It takes a really open mind to be able to grasp some of the concepts, some of the more unbelievable aspects of Jewish history, but at the same time, being able to explain those ideas logically and in a reasonable manner gives a lot of credibility. So by studying the work of Aristotle and Plato and Euclid, I could then take those concepts and marry them to what I learned from the Jews, including Jesus. Messiah? Yes and no. He was some people's Messiah. He wasn't everyone's Messiah. The Jews have two Messiahs, by the way. He was one of them. Jesus, the son of Joseph, was Moshiach ben Joseph. He's definitely the one they were talking about, that Ezekiel was talking about. But there's another one too. There's two. On the other one. Because I'm a descendant of Jesus. But how do you prove that? I don't. God does. God did. God proved it to me. So I don't have to prove it per se. Well, you do if you want people to take you seriously. It'll prove itself on its own. Trust me. That's how these things work. Right now, I've done pretty much. I don't want to say I've done everything that I could possibly do. I've done a lot. I don't know how much more there is for me to do. I really don't. Foundation, research firm. Yeah, I know. All that stuff. The Elon Musk of Judaism. Terrestrial causality. Oh, by the way, time flows in two directions at the same time. Nobody knows that yet. Spoiler. Now you do. Hour and 32 minutes. What do I see? I see interviews, I see talk shows. I see a shit ton of money. I see rich and famous friends. I see me smoking fucking pot with Matthew McConaughey and doing tequila shots with him and his wife. I can see it. I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it, God. God, alcohol. Like Jesus said to Peter, you're Moshiach. Like Jesus said to Simon, who was Peter, do not. Oh wait, hold on. I got it literally have it right here. That was the last page I read. Oh, nice. Never mind. Don't call anything that the Lord created unholy or unclean. Just shut up, go downstairs and eat. That's what Jesus said to Peter in Acts 10 or 9. Or was it 11? One of them. Don't call anything that the Lord created unclean. Yeah, because the rules, the law has changed over the years.